Pause today to remember the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. today. And with that, Vice President Kamala Harris delivered the keynote address today at the state conference King Day at the Dome event in the capital city. The theme for this year's event was ballots for freedom, ballots for justice, and ballots for change. News 19's Becky Buds was there and has this report.
Vice President Harris touched on the legacy of Dr. King, drawing parallels between his fight for justice and the challenges faced today. She also urged voters to roll up their sleeves and get to the polls.
It is so good to be back.
Vice President Kamala Harris back in the Palmetto State on Monday, delivering a keynote address at the annual King Day at the Dome event.
Fundamental freedoms under assault. Freedom from fear, violence, and harm. Freedom to vote, to live, to learn, to control one's own body.
The event has become a nearly mandatory stop for those seeking to win the state's primary. This year, the Democratic primary is set for February 3rd. President Joe Biden faces two challengers, Marianne Williamson and U.S. Representative Dean Phillips.
Let us not throw up our hands, because it's time to roll up our sleeves. And we were born for a time such as this.
King Day started more than 2 decades ago as a protest against the Confederate flag flying above the State House. The vice president in her speech also subtly criticized former governor and presidential candidate Nikki Haley for her recent refusal to name slavery as the cause of the Civil War.
For example, the Civil War, which, must I really have to say, was about slavery?
Against the backdrop of the event, dozens of Palestinian protesters were there yelling "Ceasefire now." Invoking the words of Dr. King's wife, Coretta Scott King, Harris ended her speech on a note of optimism.
With hope and optimism, we will fight. And when we fight, we win.
President Joe Biden will return to South Carolina in 2 weeks to headline the state Democratic Party's celebratory dinner ahead of its presidential primary on February 3rd. Reporting in Columbia, Becky Buds, News 19 WLTX.